Throughout the business and financial world, there has been no shortage of embezzlement and scandals involving theft of funds from innocent and unknowing ordinary people. One famously known as the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme. We want to be seen as the example of the right way to handle a situation like embezzlement from within your own ranks. A quote from Pennault says recovering losses from employee theft and embezzlement states that any items purchased by the individual are potential sources of recovery, if the assets can be identified and located. We know where the assets are, and we will do everything in our power to recover and return them to the people affected. With a percentage as high as a recorded 75% of employees have stolen at least once from an employer. That's also a quote from Pennault. That number seems staggering, and we would like to believe this is the only evidence of theft within Fidelity. However, we will be more aware in the future to try to prevent any other incidents. We at Fidelity Investments have an embezzlement issue, where one of our financial advisors has been stealing money from our clients under his care. An estimated $1 million over the past few years has been stolen. We found out that he was doing this from skimming money off the top of their returns, as well as taking money from what they gave him to invest. At Fidelity, we pride ourselves on the reputation and honesty and safety of our clients' money, and this is a stain on that reputation. We are going to do everything possible to make this right and remedy any wrongdoings to restore investors' faith in Fidelity. That being said, I hope that by reviewing our report and research and listening to our presentation, where we lay out such findings and provide possible solutions, that you can find clarity in the situation at hand and determine for yourself whether or not you are a customer or just an interested peer, how we did in handling it.
As you have heard, we've recently had a problem here at Fidelity Investments with one of our investment advisors stealing money from their customer returns. As a company, we have reviewed solutions and determined the best ones. We are looking for solutions that are quick and time efficient that will also eliminate the risk of us losing trust from our customers. Our first recommendation is to fire him immediately. Although this may seem harsh, we feel like it is justified based on his actions. We know the word of the scandal will travel quickly to our customers, which is not what we want, so we must act even more quickly. The success of our company depends on customer satisfaction, so we must do everything in our power to make sure they are satisfied. Because of this, we will also pay back all of our customers immediately. The more we wait, the better chance we lose their trust and they start to question the company as a whole. It is a lot of money, but keeping our current customers and gaining future customers is much more valuable than the money we will lose. Our second recommendation is a much slower one: prosecution. Although it is not immediate and it will take time, it could be effective. It also must be done right, though, with all the right steps. According to the LPT Security Consulting, it is important to complete the investigation by creating complete documentation of everything, taking statements if necessary, reviewing all of your information, and then calling the police. This method is not only time-consuming, but it also is expensive with legal fees, and it also increases the likelihood that the story gets out to the public, which is not what we want. However, the option does prove to the public that we will not tolerate any unethical or illegal behavior and shows that we will do everything in our power to prevent this from happening in the future. So it does have its pros and cons. Our third option is restitution. We would make the employee pay back the people that he took money from immediately. If he did not do that, we would threaten him with legal charges. We would also make the employee sign a non-disclosure agreement that would eliminate the risk of it getting out to the public. This solution could come with some problems, though. According to the ctpcos.org, oftentimes an organization, when they discover theft or embezzlement, it's too late. The responsible individual has already spent the money and has no intentions of paying them back. So this could lead to many problems, such as the company not being paid back on top of the money they lost in legal fees. If the plan were to happen and it didn't work out, customer trust would immediately be lost because they knew that the company was hiding things from them that had to do with their investment returns. In conclusion, we believe the first recommendation is the best one. Not only is it immediate, which is what we want, but we feel like it has the least risk of losing customer satisfaction and trust. All of the solutions do have their pros and cons, but we believe the first one has more pros than the others and less cons. We believe this can ensure us that our customers will continue to trust us and continue to use Fidelity Investments.
Regarding research, embezzlement is actually a lot more common of a problem than people think. In fact, 75% of employees have stolen at least once from an employer. This is an incredibly high number. But when we think about that, we also think about how impactful embezzlement can be, not only for the company, but also for the employees and for their consumers. The effects might include a high audit risk due to having to spend more money to look at financial records in a more in-depth detail. The internal morale, these employees think that this person who embezzled was their friend, that they were trustworthy, that they were someone to rely on. Hearing that they were accused of embezzlement and that they might be fired is something that can really decrease the employee morale all around. Increased cost of the company not only from the high audit risk, but also from trying to improve their status within the marketplace. So this might include more social media campaigns, some sort of consolidation to consumers, some sort of way or incentive for consumers to stay with them or to give them another chance. The amount of external morale that can be as a result of embezzlement is a huge, huge deal. If your consumers then feel that this business is not trustworthy or worth their time or their money, the company will start losing a lot. In this, a lot of companies end up having to foreclose or have to declare bankruptcy. Now these are some pretty horrible results. Forbes thinks that there are 5 steps that can help many companies prevent embezzlement. These include a fraud risk assessment to understand the company's exposure, frequent review of the financial statements, the segregation of duties, anti-fraud training, and encouraging integrity within the workplace. Being able to foster a really great workspace for the employees, I think, can really help prevent embezzlement and issues of that sort. Now, when we were looking at what the employees thought about their workplace at Fidelity Investments, it was noted that only 45% of employees believed that the goals of the company were clear and that they were invested in the mission statement and the goals. This is a fairly small number, seeing as it's less than half of the employees. Thinking that they can do more things to foster this, such as company retreats, company employee bonding type things, or just fostering different forms of integrity and friendship within the workplace can really make it overall just a better type of environment for people to be in and to maybe think twice before embezzling from the company that they enjoy working for. Preventing embezzlement is a lot cheaper than having to deal with it. The costs that a lawyer can bring can be substantial for a company. Things such as insurance can help, but they aren't always the best unless you have already insured and you've insured for a certain price point. Having that said, the person who is embezzled can be accused from both a civil and a criminal crime. This creates a lot more impact for not only the person who embezzled, but for the company in the limelight and for the employees currently at that company. Overall, embezzlement can really create a big impact on everyone involved.
Hi, my name is Catherine Brake, and I am the Vice President of a company called Fidelity Investments. On Comparably.com, you can find our vision statement that reads, "Here at Fidelity Investments, we cherish making financial expertise easily accessible to help our customers live the lives that they want to live." We range from having 23 million customers nationwide investing in their everyday lives, as well as having 20,000 businesses help manage their employees' benefits. This is just a small part of what our company actually does. Although we provide such great services to people and our employees, we discovered after an ongoing investigation an incident where our employee had been unfortunately embezzling an estimated $1 million over the past few years. If you are unfamiliar with what embezzling means, according to Webster's Dictionary, Embezzlement is best defined as the theft or misappropriation of funds placed in one's trust or belonging to one's employer. We have a few options of how we can handle this situation. The quickest option is our first option. We can fire her and forget that this ever happened. And after a lot of discussion with our board members, we believe that this is actually a crucial way to protect our company's image and regain the trust of our customer base. It is inevitable that word of this scandal is going to spread to other customers instantaneously. We could risk losing the loyalty and business of customers that have been with Fidelity Investments for a very long time. The success of Fidelity depends on our customer satisfaction. With that being said, we must take the action required quicker than the word actually spreads. The second and third option, unfortunately, is a much slower route. The second option would be to take her to court and have her prosecuted. And by doing this, we risk the chance of creating civil liability exposure. The third option would be she will have to pay the company and the customers that she was taking from back in full, either immediately or with a payment plan. If we do not want this to spread, we will have her and everybody involved sign an NDA so we do not risk ruining the company's reputation. Regardless of how we handle the situation, we are making it an absolute top priority to help the customers that were negatively affected by this employee's selfish acts. One thing we as management of the affected company can take away from this is to keep an extra eye out on our employees' finances to make sure that they are not doing anything remotely similar to what this employee did. We have seen how negatively this has affected our employees, possibly the ruining of our reputation and our customers' trust, and can assure you that we will be doing absolutely everything in our power to prevent this from ever happening again.
On the Fidelity Investments Daily Podcast, we generally discuss the common news in the markets and other investments that our company may get into that interest you, the listener. Whether it be what's going on in the stock market that day, is it going up, is it going down, who is IPOing, whose earning reports are coming out, what are we waiting to see, what mutual accounts would be the best chance for growth of your portfolio, and so on and so forth. Or whether it be national news that could have an impact on investments, such as what's going on in the housing market. Could the Feds be raising or lowering interest rates? What deal could the White House be making or negotiating? However, today we are going to have a different approach than our normal podcast. I'm sure that all of you listening have heard of the recent scandal occurring within Fidelity. We felt that it was necessary to address the issue and really give you an insight as to who was affected and what we are doing to fix it. So unfortunately, we had a case where one of our employees was embezzling money. They were doing this under the radar, of course, for the last couple of years. Over those years, they managed to steal upwards of $1 million. They managed to do this by swiping money off the top of the returns on the investments that they were handling, as well as taking some from the money that the clients were giving them to invest. As everyone knows, this is no new sort of crime. Embezzlement, laundering, theft, Ponzi schemes have all been a source of controversy throughout the financial world for a long time. And research has shown that revealing such acts to the public doesn't necessarily correlate with negative stock price reactions. In other words, if the company is transparent and open about the problem and takes the necessary steps to resolve it, it generally does not result in negative effects from investors. That, among many other reasons, especially from a morality standpoint, we believe in transparency, regardless of the controversy, because we want our clients to have trust in us. We as a company have a few options as to how to go about the situation. I'll leave a few of them out there for you, and we'd like to know what you guys think. The first option, and one that will probably happen regardless, is that we could fire the employee, and upon firing them, take it into our own hands to pay everyone back in full that had money stolen from them. This would speed up the process and get clients their money back in a hurry. However, it could let them off easy. The second choice could be to go the prosecution route, which everyone knows how that goes. It could be very time consuming and cost a lot of money and involve a bunch of lawyers. However, it could go through an investigation and possibly uncover more wrongdoings that might have happened. Our third choice could be to force the employee to pay back all the funds stolen and threaten legal action if they don't comply, considering it is their debt to pay back because they're the ones who committed the crime. However, it would be very likely that they do not have the money and that they probably spent it all or blew it on something. Many reasons could go into that. Regardless, we would like to know how the listeners feel, what your reactions are, or what your recommendations might be. Email us. We'd love to hear from you.